Hello there guys, it's Joey and it's been a while since we have recorded Mono a Mono for the YouTube channel. So for anyone wondering, yes, I have invested in a few different colored wigs. There's a number of reasons for this, and some of them are personal, some of them are like, it's helping me with my kind of anxiety and things, but a large part of it is because, well, to be honest, I did the pink one on a bit of a goof because I had come up against really overt sexism, like really over, like crazy sexism. So I was like, pink wig then, in that kind of mood. And I was like, oh, well, I really, really like the pink. Trust my skin to be like, you know what color really suits us? A color you're never going to find in nature, pink. But I decided to buy a few different ones and have some fun with it. And that's going to be kind of the theme of the video around the summer solstice energies. We're musing into energies coming up to summer solstice. Obviously, we're mid-May, so we've got a little way to go. But anybody who's been kind of like feeling the energies out and things knows this year's been a bit strange, a bit weird for the energies that have been going on. Winter was in, out, shake it all about. We do the hokey cokey and we snow some more because, you know, that's a thing. And so we got to Beltane, and Beltane felt maybe spring equinox-ish, maybe. That it lacked its usual sizzle. It lacked a lot of things. It lacked a lot of its huge spark. And this year has felt kind of like a wet fish, to be honest with you guys. And there's been a heavy amount of water. We've had moons in Scorpio. We've had Saturn's in retrograde. We've had all sorts of weird energies that are kind of like creating this drowning feeling that a lot of people have been going through. And I was musing about, like, where do we go from that point? What do we do with this energy? How do we turn it? How do we play with it? How do we push it to the point where it's fun? A la wig. And for me, it pulls into the idea of rebelling a little bit. So fingers crossed, I've just submitted a essay to Witch, so fingers crossed that should be up in a day or two. And the premise is about rebelling against conformity. And this is something I've been talking about probably all this year, because the onus on conforming right now, that noise, it drives me crazy, hence wigs. And there is a standard almost image portrayed, like there is a way to look when you're recording, there's a standard background to have, and I was like, right, well then we're going to get weirder with it then. La wig. Also, this is my background. Isn't she beautiful? She's called Shaman Bones, and the artist has completely gone out my head, but someone will pop it down below in the comments for me, I'm sure. And she was one of the first big pieces of art that I really loved, with kind of like a pagan-y feel, but it kind of felt like coming home a little bit, because she's gothic-y with her bones and her shamanism. Shamanism. Okay, Joey, sure. But she was gothic, but she was also quite brightly colored, and it was in between, and it wasn't like the pastel goth thing that you can get, but it was still in that mid space, in that liminal space between very dark, very gothic, but also quite colorful. And I like to play with both. I like to play with color palettes of both, because I do love my blacks, and I love my dark blacks and dark reds, but I also occasionally like to just play with the little pops of color here and there as well too. So me. Anyways, that's a complete side note, but it is to do with getting weirder. And I did the video of like, we are the weirdos, and the call to being weird, the call to stop conforming, because we're living in a world which is getting oppressive by what it's telling people to do. Like, there is a culture where it's, if you are different, then you are wrong. If you are different, then you are hounded. If you are different, then you are coming under fire. And it's all very unpleasant to be even slightly different in the world right now. And following a more organic path. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't, you know, I don't know. I can't put a blonde wig on, pretend I'm a beauty blogger, and have salt lamps in the background and, you know, do what everyone else is doing, because that would bore me to tears. I'm not interested in fitting in. I don't think witches should fit in. I think that witches are at the fringes of society. They always have been, and they still are. And that's something to be honored and celebrated. I think that's a good thing. Now, I'm not telling anybody how they should, you know, present themselves, how they should dress, how they should act, how they should do any of that. But to me, I'm not interested in following standard formula 101. And you get it on YouTube all the time now. There's a standard formula for quote unquote success, for views, for numbers. And it's part of the reason I've been kind of losing my shiz with YouTube lately, part of it. Censorship is the other part of it. And they kind of go hand in hand, though. And I'm not interested in this formulaic nonsense. I'm not interested. I mean, they say you're supposed to make 10-minute videos to get maximum views. I'm like, what can we talk about in 10 minutes? I can say hello and sing a song in about 10 minutes, and that's about it. Like, it stifles conversation, it stifles creativity, and it stifles the individual flow and, you know, shine that can come across in these videos. And to be honest, on the downer side, YouTube has kind of lost that. It's kind of lost the individuality, the creativity, the celebrating the people who are making videos for being different and unique. There are still a few people who are managing it. But in general, it's all like formulaic for success, and that's sad, and it's, to be honest. So that's a theme which I've noticed has been going around in all kinds of ways. It's this year has felt stifled and airless and breathless, and like with standing water is kind of the vibe that I've got. Like, it's kind of gone funky, and it's sluggish, it's not exciting, it's not creative, it's not pumping with the usual energy that we would have coming from Mostoria into Beltane and now moving into Summer Solstice. Now, I'm aware that I live somewhere which is going to be generally cooler than the rest of Britain, because I'm not a heat person, but it is really strange to me that we've only just got a whole lot of green. And we haven't seen any hawthorn blossoms yet. And if you're going by the old ways, then Beltane is kind of dependent on the hawthorn blossoming. Like, having a standard day was not a thing. So in folklore, it was when the hawthorns blossomed. So technically, we haven't had Beltane yet, technically. And if you follow me, you know that I posted an article just the end of last week on House of Twigs, who I also write for now. And it was to do with a ritual of rose petals and ocean waves, and it was to do with releasing to the ocean, because there's been a lot of oceanic energy, and I felt like we needed to really kind of bring oceanic energy in again to try and clear the stagnant water, because the ocean is not stagnant. The only kind of stagnation and pollution in the ocean is the fault of human beings. So, you know, ocean by itself is this huge, vast, incredibly mysterious, incredibly powerful, incredibly dangerous element. It's very, very primal. And it's really interesting because I had happened across a video, or a couple of videos by the Grand Infinity, and he was talking about Tiamat, who is an elemental of pure, she's tied to the ocean, and it was to do that pure, raw elemental power. And I was like, that's really interesting. And my hands are now heating up because I've said it. And I hadn't been thinking about it very long, and I heard her, which is unusual because usually I create connections. To put it in simplistic terms, I create an energetic conduit. I create a tendril of energy into the spiritual ecosystem and seek the energy that I'm looking for. That's how I commune with different gods and goddesses. Now, that's not to say that I, have abandoned my relationship with Morrigan. Never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. And it's not to say that any of that is done without her permission, because we don't do things without Morgan's permission. But this is just a natural part of who I am and how I easily visualize and how I easily connect to energies like that. So with Tiamat, though, it was very, very interesting because I had the thought, but I hadn't, gone out of my way. And I heard her, and she had a very, very specific voice. And I actually contacted the Grand Divinity and was like, told him and like described the voice. And he was like, yeah, that's how she sounds to me too. And I was like, and he's actually worked with Tiamat alongside Morgan. He says they complement each other really, really well. So that's really interesting. And I was looking into the etymology of my surname some time back. And the etymology of my name is actually Ocean's Geis, or Ocean's Oath, or Ocean's Promise. And it was really interesting from the Welsh. And it was interesting to me because most of my life, despite living on an island, so technically I'm surrounded by water all the time, but for most of my life I was really far away from the ocean. I was like as central in the island as possible, like right down the center. So I was at least it's warm, and 2 to 3 hours from the ocean by car. And so it was a pilgrimage to go to the ocean. There was a definite journey to go to the ocean and perform magic there. It wasn't regular. I live closer now, and still, though, I mean, it's an hour round trip on foot, but it's a lot closer than it's ever been before. And there's something incredibly, it is just primal when you go to the ocean, and you will see, like, when I went, there were families there were kids running about, there were people screaming, and I was like, ugh. And I went right down to the far end where it was quieter, and it's just so interesting how the ocean feels energetically by itself, devoid of humans, or as devoid of humans as you can be on an open beach. It becomes reflective, it becomes introspective, it becomes quiet, and it's the kind of quiet where you can just hear the lapping of the waves. It becomes very magical, and this to me was a type of magic that was helping me to clear out the funk, the still stagnant water of this year, because I felt like what we needed was the natural flow, the natural rhythm, because the natural flow of the energies just feels off. The weather feels off, the seasons feel off, everything just feels off, and that's reflected in how a lot of people are, acting, and where people are in terms of that they're set themselves. And I was like, people seem off. It's like, why are we playing parts in a play to pretend we're something and create an image of something? Why can't we just be who we are fully and honestly in conjunction with one another, and honor that and celebrate that within one another? And that's authenticity, like authentically being yourself. Boom, 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 which means different things to different people, obviously. But to me, it's very much like just embodying yourself and not pretending and not taking and not like lying, not faking it, not creating an image of self that's not who you are. Now, that being said, we can still play within those parameters, because sometimes I get made up. I have a wig. I put the makeups on, and then sometimes I take pictures with naked selfies, because I honestly feel like anytime we have a talk about authenticity, people focus on the shallow, and that's not the depths of the ocean that we're talking about. It's not about physical presentation and authenticity within that, because honestly, a lot of people focus on the front image to get away from the truth and the depth of things. And that's kind of like the world we live in, where the main focus is on how, especially women, men too, on how we look. And it's a whole weird ball game, because like on the one hand I'm like, people should be free to dress how they want to dress, to, you know, play with makeup, to not wear makeup. And honestly, I feel like the choice is the thing for me, like the authenticity to make those choices, to have a play with it, to enjoy it and have fun with it, but not to feel that you're going to not succeed if you don't follow this conform 101 pattern. I don't know. And it's just strange to me. It was strange to me. So I was like, okay, so how can we play? How can we create for Summer Solstice? And obviously there will be products at the tail end of this. And it was playing with an idea of ocean energy, but also playing with freedom, playing with adventure, playing with shaping one's own destiny, taking charge of one's own destiny. And so I arrived at kind of like a pirate queen kind of theme. And I came across this one image, which just like was a shot of vodka, a shot of rum, if you like. And it was just perfect. And it just was exactly the image I had in my head of what a fantasy pirate queen would be. And then I ran into a problem of archetypes, of playing with these archetypes, which is something that happens a lot these days, because of the element of people who will be offended by certain things. And the notion that, well, you know, pirates do still exist, and they actually exist, and they're not like in the movies, they're horrendous. And they are. It's true. You know, they're, you know, it's criminals in the worst sense. Slavers and the, you know, thieves and killers, they still exist. And it was interesting to me because then I was in a world of, is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? And I was musing about taking things back to maybe like a simpler time, because, you know, when you're growing up and you're playing pirates, you're never thinking about anything horrifying like that. It's very much Pirates of the Caribbean kind of vibe, you know, like that movie vibe, that fun vibe, that freedom, that playing with the idea of a ship being freedom and kind of rebelling against the law of those who have basically, who were pirates before you and have created the laws to make sure they stay in wealth and power, because the only way people own things is by taking it. And in history might try and smooth over these things, might try and hide these things, but there's the truth of it, you know, conquering is how people owned things. And that's not a pleasant process. It's just as bad. So, you know, in a lot of senses, when we get down to what human beings actually do to one another, yeah, it's horrifying, it's depressing, it's nasty, it's something that we hope to evolve past. Maybe I say maybe, not that maybe that we hope to evolve past it, but maybe we'll be able to. And I was sat there then with that thought, like, do I not do this? Because I thought this was going to be fun. And I was like, you know what? No. We will state it is the fantasy. We will state it is the Hollywood glamour. We will state that it is an archetype, an image of freedom and sovereignty, and it's actually taking it to a place of play. And Priestess of the High Seas is the overall theme, because then it moved the spiritual into a woman archetype who could both embody the kind of the pirate queen, and I'll read you the energies and the visualizations that I was getting, as well as an oceanic priestess, a priestess who would connect with sea, hence blue wig. It's the last time I'll point that out, I promise. I'm just having fun with it. And so that to me then took the priestess archetype instead. It allowed us to bring in flavors of the fantasy pirate, but it also wasn't like fully aligned with that kind of the awkwardness of what it means in real life. And it's interesting because I was like, the fantasy archetype that human beings create, such as the pirate, are actually kind of, I think in our minds, the kind of idealized version of what we would like life to be like. And so we create archetypes of story, of lore, of mythology, of how we wish people would be, even within the realms of things like, they would steal, yes, but they were stealing from a corrupt system, very Robin Hood-esque. I grew up in Nottingham, so, we know all about Robin Hood and have studied the folklore of it too. And that kind of anti-hero is a very interesting, almost psychological study into what human beings need and are attracted to and find convincing. And it's why the Punisher was so popular, because he is an anti-hero. He does some dodgy, violent shit, and people still find him to be the most convincing hero, anti-hero that there is in the comic book universe, because you can understand his decision-making process. You might not agree with it, but you can understand it. He's relatable, he's human, whereas, some of the others may be a little bit separate. And so I think for me, that's where the archetypes of these were. It was like the fantasy ideal archetype, something to hold up, something to look at, something to openly admit is idealized, but kind of try and draw down energies of that idealism into self for a number of reasons. To draw down idealism to create a sense of fun, create something which is not too serious. You don't want to be focusing on violence and kidnapping and slavery of the real pirates. It's not what you want to be doing. In the moment where you are looking to alleviate from the world. It's not that you completely ignore those things in the world, because we don't, and we strive for better conditions in the world. We strive for real change in the world. We pay those things mind, but we also need to balance that with a bit of fun. And we can't be in like a light, fun state of mind, most of us, while we're focusing on the pain of other people. So for me, it was kind of like drawing down that idealism, something to elevate to, something to play with, something to, feel out and really take joy from. And then you can weave in magical energies with it. So sovereignty and things of that nature. And then interestingly enough, the magical energies came to divide into two. One was Heart of the Seven Seas. And the other, was it just Priestess of High Seas? Yeah, just the Priestess of the High Seas. So one had the more ocean basis, and then the other had the more archetype of that pirate queen, high priestess of the seas vibe. This earbud does not want to stay in. Stay in. So we'll start with those. We'll start with some high, heart of the high. We'll start with some high Heart of the Seven Seas energy. So that one is that one. Is the little chest. And the salts, which were requests. And that one. Okay. So this is the product part of the video. So if you're not interested in this, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. If you are, I highly recommend it, because we have a feature piece to start with. We have this little beauty. This was fun. This was a pain in the bum, but it was also fun, and I just love this charm. Ho, 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 and a bottle of rum. So this is a gel candle. This is basically a feature piece, because I am not making a whole lot of these. In fact, this one is the only one that will ever be. That's it. So it's heavy. It's heavy as all man. There is 500 grams of wax alone in this, and I've got a few more of these 7-day candles, but I'm not doing gel wax again. It's not cost efficient. So it has the sand, and then we have the oceanic landscape within. You can see I've color toned it. Yes, it's on purpose. Yes, it was a pain in the bum. And so you can see you have plant life going through to make kind of like palm trees, and then, you know, bubbles. I was like playing with how to get bubbles and make it look oceanic, which is kind of like the anti of what you normally do. So it was a really interesting experiment. And there's a seashells. Where's the little, there's a little starfish, and then the charm and everything. So it's a feature piece, and people have been like, "Can you burn it?" And I'm like, people have been saying wouldn't want to burn it, and I'm like, to be honest with you, I was kind of expecting whoever bought it not to burn it, because it is a feature piece. It would make a lovely kind of like altar pillar, and it kind of really does have that oceanic vibe, like looking into a section of the ocean. And I will read to you the energy of heart, the seven seas. We have the quote from Jack Sparrow. What the black pearl really is freedom. So, summer. We are having a fantasy pirate-themed party to shimmy away the fact the weather and energy doesn't want to play nice with us. And instead we will throw as much fun and sparkle around as we can, but always with a magical twist. So hi, 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 hi. I keep wanting to say high seas. Heart of the seven seas is part of the overall priestess of the high seas range, which echoes the energy of the seafarer, the explorer, the treasure hunter. And that's actually something I've completely spaced on talking about. Like the chasing of one's passions is coming into this. Again, the ocean is the last and deepest real mystery on Earth. Humankind has not explored its depths entirely. It remains elusive and uncontrolled, an untamable primal force. The magic of the ocean heart, the magic the ocean heart wields is inspiring. It speaks to the heart of the explorer, who's excited by the adventure of discovery, of travel, of seeing new places, meeting new people, and experiencing the world as never before. It encourages the energy of freedom, personal sovereignty. It is your fate, and how you fare is in your hands. And I think there's something wonderful about that, given how the energy of this year has been kind of like for like everything seems to have kind of been like dunked on us. So then we have the spell votive, and the spell votive has a oceanic shimmy and a little shell, and if you can see down the bottom there, oh yes, oceanic. I love playing with ocean energy, it's wonderful. And then the realm candle is gosh, some of the glitter just spreads a little bit, is like playing with the idea of creating the ocean realm, but we also have a little bit of a play with it. So the sigil for this one is like the skull and crossbones looking off to the side. That was fun. But you know, you have a real journey that you can go on with your bra strap, with the realm candle itself. So all the pictures are up, by the way, already. These are all on store already. So if the light is not brilliant for these, you can check them out. And then we have the spell salt. Ooh, please, camera. Can we have some more? Thank you. Then we have the spell salt, which was actually a custom request. I wasn't going to do salts originally, but it has the look of sea glass. It's not sea glass, it's me playing with salt. So, gotta have fun with self. Come on, everybody, that's not so just fuck. So the next thing in this energy, I'm just going to shake, shake, shake the oils up a little bit, because one of them in particular does settle a little, which does happen. They just need a shake. Is an entire treasure chest. So what I really loved about both this energy and the other energy was the idea of treasure hunting. And if you think about treasure hunting in terms of a spiritual thing, like you're delving in deep for treasures, you're looking at parts of yourself, you're looking at experiences, you're looking at the world around you, you're looking for buried treasure. So I've got little treasure chests, which I have painted and created Oh, yes. And they even look like they have shimmy sand inside. Look at this shit. I get attention to detail, Virgo. Can you see it? I'm so proud. Anyway, so this is the little chest that is for the spell set. And then you get 2 oils and a number of charms. So the first thing is everyone will get a little gold key with a little thread on, which I attach. So you can use this as a charm. You can use this in a number of ways. You can use it as kind of like a skeleton key. You can just leave it in the chest and have fun with it. It's entirely up to you. And then we have a little message in a bottle charm. These are so cute. I'm such a stickler for cute. This actually has a rune sigil on it for treasure hunting, for gathering money, finances, wealth, and finding your way. And then there's some little pyrite in the jar, some little treasure that you can use for money spells and wealth spells and things. And then the 2 main things, I'm going to put this down or I'm going to drop it, you just know, are the spell oils. So the first one is Heart of the Ocean. It's not my hair dye, I promise. All natural ingredients, all shimmy. Oh, the shimmy. It looks like the ocean. Oh, yeah. I'm so proud of it. I love it. I love it so much. It's so pretty. And then the second one is the Davy Jones's locker. So, you know, shells, and it looks like, again, like cut off the ocean. So this is supposed to look a little bit like this because, you know, themes. And Davy Jones's locker is ocean magic again. I would just double check if I stated anything slightly different about Davy Jones's locker. No. Ocean, mystery, rebirth, tapping into primordial of immortal cycles and longevity. So it has a little bit of an immortal feel to it as well. So that's the chest. So if you purchase the spell chest, you get all of those in one thing. The spell chest may vary slightly because I'm tailor making each of them, but there you go. So then the other half of this is the Priestess of the High Seas, and that's that Pirate Queen vibe. And this is to do very much with adventure and freedom and empowerment and treasure seeking. So the Priestess of the High Seas reflects the Queen of the Seas, bedecked in black silk and gold, which is exactly how I wanted her to look. I had this very strong image before I had even started. She's a ruler of her own fate, an enchantress who beguiles, bewitches, and knows her value. Sharp-tongued and sassy, she casts glamour magic, knowing the value of reputation and perception. Silver-tongued and pockets lined with gold, she knows how to see adventures through to profit and can teach you all that she has learned. She honors the old gods of the sea, offering up fair tribute to the ocean depths, and always respects their power, knowing that the sea calls her to adventure. For she will explore the world for herself, not happy to be idle or hear secondhand stories. She's very much a sea witch, but it's kind of a different play on what sea witch would mean. And the vibe that I got, the message from this in meditation was, life is meant to be lived, explored, and I will see it with my own eyes and feel it with my heart. Adventure, stories, and coin will all bolster my influence, and my fate is forever mine alone. So engaging with this energy yourself can help you to be the captain of your own metaphorical ship, claiming your sovereignty and the reputation that goes with it. It encourages wealth and abundance, of course, as well as the drive to seek that out, which is perhaps the most important part. But it reminds you of the excitement of a life well lived, bolstering your confidence to chase your passions, whatsoever they might be. What do we do with a drunken sailor? What do we do with a drunken sailor? What do we do with a drunken sailor early in the morning? And up she rises, and up she rises, and up she rises early in the morning. So I didn't do salts for this set because I have just created Luck of the Blood. Oh, where have you gone? Yes, there we go. Right. And Luck of the Blood is actually my money set, my money energy. And I created spell slots to go with that, which each piece has a little pyrite in it. So I didn't do new ones. So they are on store already. But let's have a look through. So the first thing, this is probably my favorite. Although I love this energy. So I do really love all of them. So this is a spell cauldron. As you can see, we got a pirate skull, but it's bedazzled and gold, and then this beautiful gold and black, and you know, she's got feathers in her pirate cap. I love it. And this is spell cauldron, embodying this energy to a T. I just love it. I loves it. Okay. And then the spell orb, because we just had the spell cauldron, is just as lovely. Some beautiful gold shimmy ribbon for the light going through the sails, and your very own pirate ship. And then the beautiful rich colors going through. Apologies if you can hear the sirens. This is the thrills of living in a city. And then a little spell charm. I kind of love the little spell charm. I love that I decided to go with a little dice on it for like pirate gambling. I amused myself. A little sea ribbon, sea blue. And then again, it has all the beautiful energies of finding money, finding wealth, finding abundance. I had this image of her like attaching it as a spell charm on her like pirate belt. I thought that was really cool. And last two are candles for this energy. So there is the votive for this energy. Look how this one has a Triskel on it. This was not intentional, but I kind of love that that's what happened. Oh, they smell gorgeous, by the way. These ones are coconut. The other ones are pirate rum. And then the realm candle. Again, lots of black and gold, lots of shimmy, and then her sigil, which actually I kind of created the sigil for her to be a little bit more in depth than the pyro one, which is a bit of fun. So this is connecting to that realm, connecting to that archetype, connecting to that energy in order to manifest that within your life. And I love these energies. They're fun. They're playing with these ideas. They're pushing the boat out. Puns, ladies and gentlemen. Puns of pirates. So whatever it is that you do this summer, whatever it is, whether you go down to the ocean, whatever it is, have fun with it, because this year needs a little bit more of that. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Many blessings.